ancient continent on planet. This is Africa, in the mesmerizing yellow of the savannas along the muddy banks of riverbeds. At those uncertain borders where the savanna and the forest blend into each other, there is an animal. It leaves a mark wherever it goes and makes its presence known everywhere. Not just footprints, but real, tangible marks. Trees are knocked down, the ground has collapsed, waterways have changed direction, and the owner of these marks is now standing right in front of you, the African elephant. Loxodonta africana, the largest land animal on Earth. Before we move on to our video, YouTube asks this from us, and I have to say it. I am sure you will like this video, so do not forget to like and subscribe. As you know, we examine the most powerful animal of a different country almost every day. Our next file will also give some of you an opportunity to show your girlfriend, your family, or your group of friends how much general knowledge you have. Now, let us continue examining today's subject. A male African elephant can weigh up to 6,000 kilograms, 6 tons. The best way to visualize this number is to think about the trucks we almost all see on the roads every day. Trucks weigh around 20 to 25 tons on average, but a truck needs hundreds of liters of fuel, an advanced engine, and an engineering infrastructure just to move. The African elephant manages this mass with only its muscles, only its own biology. And not only does it manage it, it can accelerate up to 40 kilometers per hour. This 6-ton biological marvel runs across those savannas at 40 kilometers per hour. And try to put yourself in the place of other animals. How can anything deal with this flawless power? The power required to produce this speed stands at a very interesting point from an engineering perspective. The elephant's front legs function like giant columns that carry the body's center of mass. The hind legs generate the driving force. When these two systems work together, the resulting acceleration does not feel like the acceleration of a 6-ton mass, but rather like that of a much lighter structure, because this animal's skeletal structure distributes weight so efficiently that the load generated during movement remains at a minimum level. Let us come to the trunk. The African elephant's trunk can lift a load of 150 kilograms from the ground. It contains more than 40,000 separate muscle groups. For comparison, the entire human body has about 650 skeletal muscles. The elephant's trunk carries more than 60 times that number of muscle groups in a single organ. And with this organ, it can both knock down a log and pick up a single fallen fruit from the ground with precision. This structure, which combines brute force and millimetric precision at the same time, still cannot be fully modeled in terms of biomechanics. At this point, I feel the need to talk about a situation that many of us experience around us. Many individuals around us who are above average weight cannot even scratch their backs. Some cannot even bend down to pick up a bottle of water from the ground. But this elephant's millimetric precision is almost like that of a surgeon. This is not just a powerful animal. This is a body where power exists in its most refined form. The elephant's tusks are a critical point in understanding this animal's power. A male African elephant's tusks can reach up to 70 kilograms. You might have misunderstood. A single tusk is 70 kilograms. These tusks are used for digging, carrying, and pushing. They uproot thick tree trunks, dig through rocky ground, and when facing rival individuals, they turn into a means of force transfer. And the instantaneous force produced by these tusks is comparable to the bucket strike of a construction excavator. The difference is that the excavator has to use an engine and a hydraulic system to produce that force. The elephant uses only its neck. But the real power of this animal is not in a single organ, but in the way its systems work together. Think about the massive feet of the African elephant. Each foot, thanks to the thick fatty pad underneath, distributes the 6-ton body weight across the ground almost evenly. This structure is so effective that this massive animal can move forward without sinking, even in wet mud. A vehicle with the same weight would definitely get stuck on the same ground. In addition, this fatty tissue in the soles acts like a vibration sensor. It can detect seismic vibrations from kilometers away, the low-frequency sounds produced by other elephants, and even the pressure changes caused by approaching storms. In other words, this animal does not just use the ground to walk on. It uses it to gather information. Its hearing capacity is equally impressive. On the inner surface of the elephant's ears, there is a dense network of blood vessels. Under the hot African sun, these ears function like a heat management system, regulating blood circulation and balancing body temperature. But what is more interesting in terms of hearing is that the elephant can communicate using sound waves at frequencies so low that the human ear cannot hear them, called infrasound. These sounds can travel distances exceeding 10 kilometers. So the communication between African elephant herds operates through a network that we cannot see or hear. And behind this communication network is a highly developed intelligence. African elephants recognize their dead. When an elephant smells the bones of an individual that died years ago, the behavior of an elephant that knew that individual changes. Research shows that elephants can pass the mirror test, meaning they can recognize themselves in a mirror. This capacity has so far been observed only in a very limited number of species, such as humans, great apes, dolphins, and elephants. In addition, elephants have complex problem-solving abilities. They can use tools to reach food they cannot access, meaning they can consciously use an object to achieve a goal. This behavior is defined by intelligence researchers as tool use and is an extremely rare category in the animal world. A 6-ton body, a trunk with 40,000 muscles, 70-kilogram tusks, feet with seismic sensing capability, infrasound communication with a range of 10 kilometers, and above all this, an intelligence that can recognize itself in a mirror. I am very curious about your comments because while creating this content, as someone who studied health in university, I once again experienced how limitless biology is. Like you, I have watched the African elephant many times in documentaries, but diving into its world is something completely different. I am also curious about your thoughts here. To understand the impact of the African elephant on the ecosystem, you first need to know this. This animal physically transforms every place it passes through. The routes regularly used by a herd of elephants turn into actual roads over time. These roads make it easier to access water sources, shape the movement of other species, and even determine the routes where human settlements are established in some regions. Ecologists define this animal as an ecosystem engineer. But even this definition is not enough, because the elephant does not just shape its environment. When it knocks down trees in the savanna, the open spaces provide habitats for small mammals, reptiles, and birds. The water holes it digs become the only water source for dozens of species during dry seasons. It excretes the seeds of the fruits it eats without digesting them. And these seeds sometimes germinate 60 kilometers away. So this animal, unknowingly, operates a seed distribution network. Some tree species can almost only germinate after passing through the elephant's digestive system. Without these trees, the species dependent on them do not exist. And without those species, the ecosystem shifts to a different balance point. This domino effect becomes very clear in the absence of the elephant. Long-term research conducted in regions of Africa where elephant populations have declined shows that tree cover changes, the distribution of water resources changes, and small mammal populations grow unevenly. The absence of one animal affects even species that are not in direct contact with it. This indirect effect shows how deeply rooted the elephant's dominance over the ecosystem is. And now add the dimension of threat to this picture. Today, the African elephant is in a vulnerable status. Habitat loss, human-elephant conflict, and poaching directly affect the future of this species. South Africa presents an interesting example in this regard. Thanks to conservation policies, elephant populations in some regions are under control. But this success brings a new question. Is it more critical to protect the population or to protect the habitat? This debate is still ongoing, and the answer is much more complex than you might think. Now put everything together: a 6-ton body weight, a speed of 40 kilometers per hour, a lifting force of 150 kilograms, and a trunk with 40,000 muscle groups, feet that can detect seismic vibrations, infrasound, communication with a range of 10 kilometers, an intelligence that can recognize itself in a mirror, an entity that single-handedly governs the functioning of an ecosystem, from seed distribution to water resources. The most powerful animal of South Africa is the African elephant. But this sentence is still incomplete, because this animal is not just powerful, it is the backbone of every habitat it exists in. An ecosystem without it resembles a structure that has lost a fundamental pillar. It cracks silently, changes slowly, and can never return to what it once was. The African elephant is still here. In the wide plains of Kruger, in the riverbeds of Limpopo, on the harsh ground of the Kalahari, with its 6-ton steps, changing something with every passage, it continues to exist. Silently and with determination, and without giving up anything. That is all for today. If the video caught your interest, do not forget to like and subscribe, so the algorithm can push the channel forward and we can reach thousands of people. If you are curious about which country and which animal I will cover in the next file, keep your notifications on. See you later.